Hello, dear students. So, I welcome you all to the sixth lecture of Physical Pharmaceutics First. In today's lecture, we will be discussing the very much important state of matter, that is the solid state. And not only we will be discussing the aspects related to solid state, we shall also be covering the application of these solid state in physical pharmaceutics and basically the pharmaceutical sciences. So the contents that I have arranged for you in this lecture would be, we will be first seeing that what is a solid state actually, and in how many forms we can say it has been divided. Then we will be covering the aspects related to what are crystalline solids. Basically, solids are being divided into two basic categories. First one is the crystalline solids, and other are the amorphous solids. So we will be covering both these aspects in this lecture, as well as we shall also be covering the basic properties of crystals. What are crystals, what is lattice, what is basically the habit of a solid state, as well as we shall also be covering those solid which do not have any defined shape. So these are referred to as amorphous solids. And lastly, I shall be discussing a unique phenomena which is known as the polymorphism. So basically, what does this polymorphism means? Polymorphism is basically coined with the two words. First is poly, which means many, and morphism or morph means many shapes. So we will be also seeing in this discussion in terms of polymorphism few case studies based on some pharmaceutical excipients as well as some drugs which exhibit this unique property of polymorphism. And as usual, we shall be finishing off this lecture by conducting a small quiz. So let us start the discussion. So you can see this very prominent graph over here. It is basically a schematic representation, and I have taken this graph from a very wonderful book known as Leon Lackman. You will be reading this book for industrial pharmacy. So you can see over here a chemical compound. Basically, we are talking in terms of solid state. So any chemical compound can be categorized in terms of its habit as well as in terms of its internal structure. So on the basis of the internal structure, we can further classify a solid as a crystalline solid or as an amorphous product. Now, once we categorize a particular solid as crystalline, then it can be a single entity or it can be a polymorph. Means it can exist as a single entity or it can also exist in different structures or forms. Then we can say it is a polymorph. Similarly, molecular adducts are also there. These are also a type of crystalline solids, and they are further classified into non-stoichiometric inclusion compound and stoichiometric solvates. So these are also very much important in terms of solubility of the drugs. So non-stoichiometric inclusion compound you will be reading in the later part of this physical pharmaceutics. That is when we will be covering the inclusion compound or the complexation. So you will be getting in detail in these topics, that is what are channels, what are layers, and what are cage and clathrates. So I have just given you an overview that what we will be covering in this particular lecture, as well as some of the topics you must be encountering in the our further discussions. So coming towards the solid states, so we must be familiar with this sentence that the solid are basically having a defined shape as well as a defined volume, and they can be compressed beyond a certain limit because their molecular arrangement is so much compact. So we cannot compress them beyond a certain limit. So solids, if we talk about solid, we can say that these solid can be of two types, as I already mentioned in my the introductory session of this lecture. So solids can be either they can be crystalline solid or they can be the amorphous solids. So when we speak of crystalline solid, so you can just see the difference between these two figures. When a crystalline solid is there, they will be having a defined structure, very much ordered arrangement of atoms, molecules or ions. Whereas when a amorphous solid is there, they will be having a random arrangement of atom, molecule or ion. So this is the basic difference, and because their structural difference lies, that is why the property also differs. So if we are speaking in terms of pharmaceutical, so we can say over here any drug which exists in crystalline form will be having some different sort of properties, whereas a drug which exists in the amorphous state will be having altogether different state. So you must be familiar with this term, that a majority of drug possess poor solubility in biological mediums. So this poor solubility might be because of crystalline nature of the drug, whereas all those drugs which are highly amorphous, or we can say they are amorphous, they possess higher solubility as compared to crystalline solids. So this is the basic overview that I have given. Let us move ahead. So what are crystalline solids basically? As I mentioned, so they have a very much defined structure, and they have a geometrical pattern, or we can simply say the lattice. So because of this defined structure, they have a definite shape and orderly arrangement of units, and because of these they have a definite melting point. So it is very much important to remember over here that crystalline solid will be having definite melting point, because they will be having a definite shape and orderly arrangement of units. So moving ahead, what is basically the habit? As I have mentioned in my earlier discussion, so basically the morphological arrangement or the morphological appearance of any particular state is known as the habit, where the crystal habit is defined as having the same structure but different outward appearance. So you can see with this diagram that this is a unit cell. Any state of matter will be basically made up of different molecular arrangement, and when we speak of crystalline solid, so you can see they are arranged in a very defined structure, and this unit cell when together cumulatively arranged in a geometrical fashion, they give rise to crystalline solid. So you can see the black dots over here, they are basically the lattice points. So now these lattice point can be take place, means atoms can be at the lattice point, molecules can be there at the lattice point, as well as the ions can also be there at the lattice point. So basically any crystalline solid is made up of this repetitive unit of cells. So you should remember this thing. So now let us see how many forms of crystals are there based on the symmetry. So you can see this classification over here, and I also put the examples over here. So you can see over here that a cubical structure is represented, a cubical crystal is here, and it is represented, the common example is the common salt, that is the NaCl. So you can see over here A is equal to B is equal to C, means all the sides are having the same basically the length, as well as alpha, beta and gamma all are 90 degree. So that is why this is a cubical structure, Another form of crystal can be tetragonal, where A is equal to B but they are not equal to C. So these are known as the tetragonal structures or tetragonal forms, and the common example of this is urea. Another example is orthorhombic, where neither of the three sides are equal to each other, and the common example is iodoform. Coming towards the rhombohedral, we can see it is exemplified with iodine. Iodine is the perfect example of rhombohedral structure. So you can see the difference over here. Here all the sides are equal as like the simple cubic, whereas in the simple cubic alpha, beta, gamma angles were 90 degree, whereas alpha is equal to beta but gamma they are not equal to 90 degrees. So this is the basic difference. Another example is sucrose, which is existing in monoclinic form. So you can see the illustration over here. Similarly for the boric acid, and the hexagonal structure is represented by Be3Al2SiO3 whole 6. So coming towards the another type of solids are the amorphous solids. So it is basically represented by the amorphous state. So as I already mentioned, that amorphous term implies that they do not have any defined shape or form. So let me just simplify you for this. Wherever this A comes, it means no, and morph means the form. So they do not have any defined form. So amorphous solid as first approximation can be considered as supercooled liquids. So the molecules are arranged in somewhat random manner as in the liquid state, but as they are solid, so they are basically having intermixed properties of both the solid as well as the liquid. So the common example of the amorphous state can be glass and many synthetic plastics and polymers as well. So let us just go towards the basic difference between the two classes of solids, that is the crystalline solid that we have discussed earlier, and the amorphous solids. So you can see the structural unit of crystalline solids such as ice, sodium chloride and menthol are arranged in geometric pattern, means they will be having a defined geometrical structure or lattice, whereas amorphous do not have any regular arrangement. So the particles are randomly organized, whereas in case of solids you can see they have a very sharp melting point. Remember this thing? I mentioned you this thing in my discussion when I was talking about crystalline solids. So have a sharp melting point, and because the amorphous do not have a regular arrangement or very defined structure, so that is why amorphous solid will not be having a defined melting point, rather they will be having a range of temperature over which the particular amorphous compound will be melting, but they will not be having any definite temperature as such. Similarly, coming towards the pharmaceutical property because of which we are reading this particular topic, so we are concerned with the solubility, means how much the drug is soluble. So you can see over here as the let me just come towards this initial diagram that I have shown you. So you can see, because there is a compact phenomena in crystalline solid and they are being arranged in a very tightly packed manner or a defined structure is there, so when the liquid will interact with this state of matter, it will be means very tedious to get into the system, whereas in case of amorphous, as the randomness is there, so it can easily solubilize in the liquid state. So if we talk about in terms of solubility, crystalline solid are poorly soluble, whereas amorphous solids are more soluble in comparison to crystalline solid. And this is basically, we can see with the help of some example I have put it over here. So you can see crystalline form of the antibiotic novobiocin is poorly absorbed and has no activity. So when I was telling you this thing, so you should be remembering this thing, that all those crystalline form of novobiocin are poorly soluble, whereas the amorphous novobiocin form is readily absorbed and is therapeutically active because it is being highly soluble. But though the solubility of crystalline solid is we can say on the lower side, but they offer certain advantages as well in terms of stability, because the crystalline solid are more stable on storage, whereas the amorphous solid are less stable. So now let us come towards another topic which we will be covering in this discussion, is known as the polymorphism. And believe me student, you will be encountering lot of examples of polymorphism in your studies in physical pharmacy as well in pharmaceutics. So let us first learn what is the meaning of this term polymorphism. So poly means many and morph means the form. So any state of matter which can exist in multiple forms is known as, it is exhibiting in polymorphism. So you can see over here, because they are having different morphism, or they show different morphism, or they exist in different forms. So because of this, they will be having different melting point. So let us suppose there is a drug A and it exists in A dash and A double dash. So the A dash type of drug will be having different melting point, whereas the another type of drug which is represented by A double dash will be existing as different melting point. Similarly, they will be having different X-ray diffraction pattern, they will be having different solubility profile, and they will be stable at different pH conditions, and ultimately they will be exhibiting different biological activity as well. So now let us go in detail and understand. So you can see, perhaps the most common example of polymorphism is contrast between a common example, we can say, that is the diamond and the graphite, both of which are composed of crystalline carbons. So the internal structure is of carbon only, but two polymorphic forms are there. First is the diamond and the second one is the graphite. So you can see what is the basic difference, why one state is known as diamond, why another state is known as the graphite. So you can see high pressure and temperature lead to the formation of diamond from elemental carbon. So this is the basic reason. High pressure and temperature lead to the formation of diamond from elemental carbon. So you can see over here, though diamond is very precious, but it is less stable. We can say it is metastable. So what are metastable forms? Which are less stable, we can say. So diamond is less stable crystalline form of carbon than is graphite. So why I have put it this example, because in your pharmaceutical sciences, when you will be dealing with certain excipients or drugs, you might be experiencing that various drugs are available which are existing as the metastable state, and this metastable state is basically changing. So when you will be packaging a particular drug, it will be existing, you might be thinking it is stable, but on storage it might be converting into the unstable state. So let us take this example. You have seen this structure many times. This is the arrangement of diamond, you can see, and this is the arrangement of the graphite molecules. So let us see a case study on theobroma. So you might have all have eaten chocolates. So a major component is there known as the theobroma, and similarly we use this component in the preparation of suppositories in pharmaceuticals. So you might have been remembering, dear students, what are suppositories, because you might have learned them in your first semester in pharmaceutics. So suppositories are basically rectal or vaginal formulations, and they are meant to be what we can say melt over that particular temperature range. So theobroma oil is basically the we can say base which we use for preparation of suppositories. So theobroma or cocoa butter exists in polymorphic state, and it is a natural fat because it consists mainly of single glyceride. So it exists in a melting point range rather than a sharp melting point. It will be existing as a melting point range is there, so 34 degree centigrade to 36 degree centigrade. So now let us discuss what are those polymorphic forms. So theobroma exists in four polymorphic forms. First one being the unstable gamma form, which has a melting point at 18 degree centigrade. The alpha form having melting point at 22 degree centigrade. Beta prime, which is having the melting point at 28 degree centigrade, and the stable beta form, which has a melting point at 34.5 degree centigrade. So you can imagine how the temperature range is varying with the different polymorphic forms. So now let us discuss what problem it persists when formulating the suppository, and if a unknown man is manufacturing the suppository, how he can encounter these problems and how to overcome them. So you can see I have discussed this issue. If theobroma oil is heated to the point at which it is completely liquefied, means theobroma oil will be liquefied at about 35 degrees centigrade. So now what happens? The nuclei of stable beta crystals are destroyed because of the melting, and mass does not crystallize until it is super cooled to 15 degree centigrade. So what will happen? The crystal that form are metastable gamma, alpha, beta prime. So you must be remembering that I have told you that theobroma exists in different polymorphic form, and because I have melted it, so what will be happening? When on cooling, what will be the condition? The crystal that form are metastable gamma, alpha, beta prime form, whereas what we are requiring, we requiring the stable beta form. So, and the suppository melt at 23 to 24 degree or at ordinary room temperature. So the proper method of preparation involves melting cocoa butter at lowest possible temperature, that is at 33 degree centigrade. So you are not supposed to melt the theobroma oil at 35 degree centigrade, rather you should be melting it at around 33 degree centigrade. So this is the case which I need to discuss, and this is the point by which you can overcome this polymorphic issue. So now let us take another example of tamoxifen citrate. This is a very wonderful drug, and it is used basically as a antineoplastic agent as well as an anti-estrogenic agent, and we can use this drug in breast cancer for particularly post-menopausal women. So this is the wonderful drug, and now let us see what is the problem with this drug. So the tamoxifen citrate exists in two polymorphic form, that is A and B, and the B form is more stable. So how you can see in this discussion, the packing in the stable polymorph referred to as form B is dominated by hydrogen bonding. So it is a salt basically of tamoxifen citrate, that is this thing. One carboxyl group of citric acid moiety donate its proton to nitrogen atom on adjacent tamoxifen. So you can see over here one carboxyl group of citric acid. So this is the citric acid, and its carboxyl group is donating a proton to the nitrogen atom on the adjacent, that is the tamoxifen, you can see over here, and it basically bring about hydrogen bonding networks. So remember, dear student, I have discussed the intermolecular forces. So here comes the bonding, that is the hydrogen bonding between this citric acid moiety and the tamoxifen moiety. So this will lead to stabilization of drug. So whereas in the polymorphic form A, what is the condition? The other polymorph known as form A is a metastable polymorph of tamoxifen citrate, its molecular structure being less organized than that the stable B form. So an ethanolic suspension of polymorph A can spontaneously rearrange into polymorph B. So you can just see the difference over here, ki how a particular form of drug is more stable as compared to another drug. So let me thank you all for patiently listening this video, and these are the references which I have covered to undergo this lecture. So thank you, dear students.